All right, welcome back to another Wright Stew podcast. I'm Paul Stewart.
And I am Brian Wright, and we made it to kind of my favorite day. We're on Friday Eve, I think, right?
Yeah, Thursday.
Yeah.
Thursday.
Yeah, that's what they say. I was for minor leaguer. That was definitely a motivating factor for fans, was Thursday.
Get there for the dollar brews.
Hey, I can tell you now, bro. I mean, anywhere you go, went to NC State game?
Yeah.
Had a beer at the NC State game? $13.
Yeah, great. What'd you did you have like a
no
in from Germany for you? What'd they do?
I think I was drinking the beer that's like the NIL. It's just the it's got the one. It's not the Wolfie, but it's like it had like the Wolfpack logo on it.
An IPA, you mean?
No. It's for the NIL.
Oh, it's NIL. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I think it is supposed to like give some money towards that. I think.
Man, where have we come with college sports? Selling alcohol at games. That money now goes to the players. I mean, where are we at in life, Brian? What the heck is going on?
Well, I think that's awesome. I like that better. It's just you got to sell a lot of beer if you're going to pay these kids $100,000, $200,000, $300,000. I mean,
a $13 beer is
outrageous. Yeah.
That's
cheesesteak at the Wolfpack game was excellent. Though they did pick up one of their first losses that they've been playing really well.
Right, because we didn't record yesterday, and you went to the NC State versus UNCW game on Tuesday night. NC State coming off of probably their best weekend of the year, sweeping at the time, depending on what ranking you look at, either number 2 or number 3 Clemson. They swept them straight up, won 3 games in a row, huge series. And then they come out on Tuesday. And again, midweek games are tough, but really good teams find ways to win those games. And I don't want to say lay an egg, but don't play great against you.
I would concur with that. I would say this. A lot of times you're pitching guys that haven't had a ton of work. Or, they're not pitching on the weekend. With a few exceptions, sometimes if your staff's thin, you'll throw a guy that maybe instead of a bullpen, he's throwing an inning. Yeah. I'll say their normal catcher, he DH'd, and then they had another kid come in and actually that's a really good receiving catcher, but not the same hitter. So you kick your normal DH to another position. Looked like they had a couple other guys in different places and just left too many runners. They had their opportunities. If you don't score like 3 consecutive innings, they had two runners on a base. And 2 of those times there's runner on third, less than 2 outs, no runs. I mean, just really poor kind of small baseball. And all the credit, I guess, will go to the Seahawks. But, you got to be able to get those free runs.
Yeah, absolutely. So you got to see the game, and you said you were sitting up there with some of the scouts, talking with them a little bit. Anything you picked up from them? Anything that they were saying that they're looking for that surprised you or confirmed things that you already thought?
Well, I tell you, the thing I noticed, towards the end of the game, we got literally right behind. And the thing I think sometimes we forget, and sometimes we take angles and, the plate is 17 inches wide.
Yeah.
Umpires in college are given more than that. I mean, last night he was given maybe 2 to 3 inches for a left-handed hitter on the outside and probably an inch or 2 on the outside for a right-handed hitter. And, the reality is the zone is what the umpire says. And so it's a very 90s-esque zone, a little bit wider, not as tall. No big takeaways other than, I was just amazed by the number of midweek guys that were throwing for, UNCW that are 92 to 94 plus stuff.
Yeah.
They're looking for run. They're looking for action. Obviously, velocity makes everything better, but those secondary pitches seem to have more, maybe more emphasis. I feel like even guys that are really running it up there, they're still probably 50-50 fastball slider. And NC State had a kid that was throwing 97, 98, and slider was 86. He couldn't throw it for a strike, which is just that night. It's not great.
Yeah.
But he got hit around a little bit. Now, it's the error that gave up 2 runs, so they were unearned. But it wasn't like he just went out there and mowed with 97, 98. And he threw a lot of sliders. And then he got himself into a count where a couple of runners on base, 2-2 count. You knew he was wanting to throw the fastball right there because he didn't want to go 3-2, then have runners running. And one of the things I like to do at games, especially if I'm with somebody that really knows the game, I like trying to guess what pitchers are going to throw. And then I like to see, I felt like the UNCW pitcher, one of their pitchers, each had 6 or something, but one of the pitchers was so obvious that his arm slowed down on the
breaking
curveball. Yeah. But nobody picked it up. He was effective. I think that was one of the things when I was talking is making all your pitchers look the same, be able to run it both ways, and then have an action on their fastball. Velocity is important, but have an action on your fastball.
Yeah, absolutely. How'd the Doak look, man? Would it bring back any memories? I know you go back pretty regularly, but
I would say this: they're changing it more, right? So I got sold when I went there long time ago, 98, that it was going to be what it is now. And I'm sure they eventually got that done in
25 years later, they're finally.
Well, I'll say this: they got most of this section done in 05, maybe 06.
Yeah.
So they were a few years late. And now they're not spending nearly what these other places, but it's a lot of renovations. They're trying to renovate a really good Tuesday crowd. It's what winning does for interest. People want to go see if you're doing something special.
Yeah.
And it was nearly sold out. The only tickets you could buy were on the lawn, and that's going to go away because those lawn tickets are eventually going to be bleacher tickets. And I think they're doing some bleachers in left field. And it's they're trying to renovate as they're going, but dude, it was packed house, man. Good crowd.
Yeah. And if you've never been to NC State, they've got a little bit of room out in left field. Is kind of a field. I think they used to practice soccer or do some intramural stuff out there. I think they're tearing that dorm down in the left field. That was it's Sullivan, I think it is, out in left, the taller one. That's my wife actually lived in that one her freshman year. Terribly small room, not a great dorm.
I'll tell you this: the dorm game has really stepped up. I know you went on some tours with your daughters. My daughter, where she's going. I would say the dorm game has really improved. Now the prices have went out of control, so maybe there's some correlation there. And at a lot of campuses, I know NC State's doing it now. You have to live on campus your freshman year, and
a lot of them are doing that.
Yeah.
Trying to get more money out of the kids. Yeah, so. Well, that's exciting, man. Always fun to be out at the ball field, see a game. Brian, so another thing, got a little closer to home for me. Both of my daughters, the second one, they are into the third round of their conference tournament, and then my oldest, they start the conference tournament today, and it got me thinking. As I'm watching some of these games, man, some of these games, it's realistically the last game ever for some of these young ladies, right? So, it's softball, and man, it just kind of hits you. It's like, wow, I'll be there next year with my oldest, but it's like, gosh, man, it's a
long journey.
I remember when she was 4 or 5 years old playing t-ball, and it's like, I'm not ready for it, man. Fortunately, I've got a couple others still playing, a few others, but it's like, man, it's crazy to think that. And I've got a friend who her daughter actually plays in the same conference as my second, and her daughter's a senior, and they're out there at the tournament watching the game. She said, "We don't know when we want to be there for her last game." I'm like, gosh, man, it's so fun. And it got me thinking. Do you remember your last high school or college or pro ball game?
Pro ball, not as much. I always thought I was coming back. I do remember my last practice because the second time I got hurt, I was in spring training, and very vividly. And what they did then was, and again, it was very simple. I'd had a back procedure the year before, and then the next year was in spring training, been in big league camp, going up and down a little bit, playing on the split squad stuff, and then came back down and was running on the outfield grass, stepped on the warning track, and I felt the same exact pain again. And we always went and stretched after practice, right? Because you're out there for hours.
Yeah,
And one of the
the
things they
second
were kind
stretch,
of,
yeah, late
yeah,
stretch.
kind of a post practice stretch.
Yeah, get your mostly lower body, kind of back stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but I could not. I mean, I knew I was done then, and so I do remember that. Collegiately, for sure, ACC game had our chances. I think I made one of the last outs. Got too aggressive. Kind of didn't. One of those swings, and our kids, I feel like, get guilty of it sometimes. And I didn't do it much, but like if you're really seeing the ball well, sometimes you swing at balls that you really shouldn't swing at, right? Especially early in the count, and not really a pitch you can drive, a pitch you can see, and you kind of don't, you go from trying to drive the baseball to just put it in play. So I remember that. And then high school was state championship. So winning state championship,
Oh
walking
wow!
off, yeah.
What
So
a
that
way to
was,
go out! Yeah.
yeah, great way to. It was all downhill from there, but it was, a lot of good
You just
experiences.
stop while you're ahead, huh?
I agree. I try not to, and I don't know. If I let myself go, it can be kind of sad, right? When you think about all the thinking back, because you can vividly remember. You got ones that's just kind of going through, the early stages of
I
learning
got a
softball.
7-year-old too. Yeah, the Orioles were doing
And
it.
so
Yeah.
that brings back memories of your oldest, and then you got one that's
Yeah.
on the backside of college. So you've got kind of the whole spectrum, and I think you do gain perspective. I don't know. I don't like to be sad, so I try not to dwell. I mean, there's a lot of things. Sometimes I see pictures come across on like Facebook, and I see my kids at like 2 years old, 3, and I feel these emotions, and it's like they're almost sad emotions, and I'm like, dude, no, this should be happy, dude. They're
It's
advancing.
a
They're
little bit of both. I mean,
yeah. I try not to get to the sentimental side because
yeah.
it makes me feel sad, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
I got enough real problems.
Have you seen the movie Inside Out or Inside Out 2?
No, I heard it was kind of
It's
I don't
good.
know.
I enjoy it. My kids watched it.
Did it feel political?
No.
Oh, okay.
But there's a couple parts in there when the first movie it's a young girl, and her emotions are happy, sad, angry, and one more, right? It's just you're a kid. That's all. And then the next movie, she's a teenager or like a preteen, teenage, and she's well. Sometimes I'm happy and sad at the same time, sort of thing. And so the emotions kind of get mixed up a little bit, and that kind of puberty stage. That's what it reminded me of when you were talking about that. It's pretty interesting, but because you just
Yeah.
have memories where, like you just said, you can look back on like, oh look, remember that T-ball? Oh, that was so much fun. Oh, but that was, gosh, that was so long ago. That sort of thing. So it's pretty interesting. And I do see with my 7-year-old. Actually, tonight my wife and I, she helps coach, and we're out there, and I saw her make like a throw. I was like, God, that looks just like our oldest at the same age. Like she looks identical with that. Just the way she was kind of moving and the way her arm kind of hooked a little bit and everything. I was like, man, look at that. That's funny. But but it's exciting. We're happy for them and excited to see those tournaments. But I remember my last high school game, we lost to Lee County in the third round of the playoffs. I pitched.
Really good program for a long time.
Yeah, they were good. They ended up winning the state title that year, so we didn't lose to a slot. But I felt like I pitched awful. I think we lost like 4-1. So I didn't throw too terribly. Then I remember last travel like travel Legion ball kind of game. I remember the last one of those. Actually, I threw at Carolina. It was a tournament in Chapel. It was like at all the fields locally, so it was in Chapel Hill. So I threw on the Carolina mound. And then like 3 days later, signed my contract with the Brewers. So that was good. Last pro ball game, I remember yelling at the umpire walking off the field. That was
It's all been downhill since, dude.
yeah.
But actually, you do pretty good until they check you on the rules. How has the umpiring been from your perspective with your daughters? I know you've got a little grainy footage.
Yeah,
but,
a lot of times.
how's it felt?
We get a chance to see my oldest quite a bit. She's here in Raleigh. It's pretty fair. I mean, they do a pretty good job. There's a call every once in a while. They're like, or getting squeezed a little bit, but it's been fair. It's not been egregious. I'll send you a video every once in a while. It feels like my second daughter, she hits lefty, and it feels like the lefties get more calls to the third base side of the batter's box than any call. Like I don't know why. And you were a lefty, Brian. Did you feel like that was the case?
Well, 100%. And I think it's totally the angle of how the umpire sets up. And if you look from one angle, I mean, it's not really rocket science. I don't know why they haven't figured out a technique to be better with this.
Yeah.
But it is totally how they set up behind the catcher. And if you don't have a disciplined guy or one that recognizes, hey, even though that looks a certain way, that's outside.
It's still out, yeah.
And some of these catchers are really good.
Yeah, they're framing, they're bringing it back in. But I mean, you learn as a sitting in the stands, right? You start looking, all right, where are they setting up? You can see that. Are they catching it inside their knee, on their knee, outside their knee? Are they bringing it, those sort of things? And
the thing I was kind of surprised by, and I've noticed this a lot in college baseball, not so much pro baseball. I feel like the pitchers are too good, maybe. And maybe I just haven't looked close enough. Man, there's so many guys who stand all over the dish.
Yeah.
I mean, literally they're on the back line and they're on the inside line. I mean, literally can't be more than 4 inches off the plate.
Just challenging people to throw it in. I mean,
I guess.
Or just giving up that pitch.
Yeah. And then if it comes in at all, they're getting hit. I don't know. I was never a big crowd. I didn't move a ton in the box. Occasionally, there were times with certain really low-armed lefties, I would get closer to the plate because it felt like balls they were calling strikes in the outside corner. They felt off to me, off the plate, especially if you had a really low lefty and it felt like it was catching that, that front corner.
Yeah.
And so I would get a little bit closer. I didn't like to move because if you move a lot, you lose your feel for where the strike zone is.
Yeah.
But I mean, Pete Rose said he moved anytime he was in a funk or a slump. He would never admit it, but he would move. He'd move up in the box, move back in the box, move closer to the plate, farther away from the plate. So obviously, that's really on me for not considering those adjustments. But I didn't like to move a ton.
I'm more, I like your methodology. Like, hey, this is more consistency. I think you see the ball, you get your timing down a little better, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and you know where your strike zone is, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. That's I mean, once you get to a certain level, you just kind of stick to the back of the box just to give yourself more reaction.
I think so. And again, I think it's interesting though. I mean, I've seen guys, like I saw Altuve, I don't know, I don't think you sent it to me, or maybe you did send me the video of him hitting, how far away he stands, how much he dives in.
Yeah.
Or if it just hit my algorithm after we talked about it. But there's no right or wrong, but I feel like you got to be consistent in those strike zone.
Yeah, absolutely. So Brian, scary scene last night in Pittsburgh. I sent you the video. The guy falling from it's a 21-foot wall. They call it Clemente Wall in right field in Pittsburgh. And what we saw on X, it looked like I couldn't tell if he just jumped up and was so excited that he went over the bar, and the way his body went, it kind of tumbled around and looked like he kind of hit head, shoulder first, and they carted him off and took him to the hospital. So don't know his status quite yet, but
yeah, it's not good.
Yeah.
I mean, I need people to be able to control themselves because that's the only place you can set without nets now. I kind of feel like I liked it the way it was when we grew up. You put a net right behind and kind of around a little bit. But you're kind of at your own risk once you get down to third base and going down.
That was so traditionally it was kind of to the front side of the dugout, and then over the dugouts was kind of wide open,
which was an awesome view. It's taken me a long time to look through nets and enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, I remember that too. I mean, I was playing in thousands of minor league baseball games. You're standing there in the dugout and you look back and you kind of see who's sitting behind just as a safety check almost. You're like, oh, who's back here tonight? And like little kids, you're like, oh, geez, like, come on, parents, that's not
great.
Let's get
or you're coming in from the outfield or coming in, you probably didn't see it as much. You may have been, but they're asking for balls. And then maybe if you, depending on the situation, you get a ball back to somebody if they need to have a ball. And
dude, I sat in the bullpen. What do you think the kids harassed us all night
for balls?
Like, you know what? If you go get me an ice cream cone, give me some dip.
Go get me a cheeseburger.
Get me
Yeah.
some Dippin' Dots. I'll bring you the baseball.
Hey, so did Pittsburgh end up winning that game last
They
night?
did. They hung on 4-3. Yeah, they did. Um,
They're playing pretty well. I know there's a lot of haters going around with talking about, hey, they're never going to put enough around Paul Skeens, but they're competitive and they got some guys, dude.
yeah, man. I mean, O'Neal Cruz obviously is the one that jumps out. Brian Hayes isn't bad. I
I
like
like Brian Hayes.
I like what Andrew McCutcheon's still there. Seems
God,
like
he's been there a long time, dude.
and just like a pro's pro man, like doing all the right things. Like so we saw him play a couple weeks ago in Cincinnati and hit a routine ground ball to third base and just I mean went hard down the line, man. Just went hard the whole way, and that's you need guys like that teaching the younger guys how to do things the right way.
And it shouldn't be, I'm always big on, you run down that base and you run for one of two reasons or both, right? And so you punish yourself to run hard, or you trying to just do the right thing, which is run hard. And it's not for show. I think sometimes kids watch too much, not even really too much, watch a little bit of professional baseball, and you see a guy going down three quarters. What they don't realize is this guy's played 14 games, 14 days in a row, and he's played for a long time. They tend to go hard. I saw Trey Turner in their game the other night hit a ball to third base, and he ran the fastest he had run to first base and beat it out and give him a chance. They ended up winning that game because of that. And once you're a pro, I tell all the kids, hey, when you're a pro, you do whatever you want. But until you're a pro, you got to do it, the way we ask you to, or there's going to be some consequences.
Yeah. I saw that last night. The Brewers game. Sal Frelick came up and put a little drag bunt, busts his butt up the line, and that's kind of Brewers baseball. I mean, they play a lot of small ball. They're still bunting, moving guys over, and then I think Jake Bowers hit a double a couple batters later and got him in, sort of thing. Took the lead.
He's becoming a guy too, man.
Yeah, they're great. So we'll finish off with this a little locally, Brian, a little more locally. Hurricanes won their series against the Devils. They got
double OT. Did you see any highlights or stay up and watch?
We stayed up and watched it. My son and I stayed up and watched. It was
it was late. I went to bed before it went off.
Yeah, I think it was like 11:30 or so when it wrapped up. But man, it's worth it. And the Hurricanes it was like they were on a power play the entire both overtimes.
The first one, they had so many shots. They kept it down in their end. I can't speak hockey talk.
Yeah, well, they kept it zone.
Like you said, they controlled it.
But it was, and so playoff Stanley Cup hockey overtime is that some of the best sports, just sports in general?
Oh, that's a great question.
Because it's I mean, so there's no like we went to the hockey game, we went to overtime, and we're like, what? They're playing 3-on-3? What happened? Like we were kind of
stay 5-on-5 and
it's just they are just playing hockey. There's and in baseball, like we got they throw the runner on second, and in the playoffs it goes back to
traditional
old school, traditional baseball. But I mean, Stanley Cup, it is just a goal and it's over, and it can turn so fast because that's what they were talking about in between the first and second overtime. One of the commentators was like, dude, I think New Jersey still has a chance. Like that goalies keep, and you get some of these where you get a quick rebound on and you flip it out and somebody gets a break, and the Hurricanes are going to take 25 shots to the Devils, one, and it just takes one.
That's right.
Unfortunately for us being Hurricanes fans, it didn't happen, but that was. Dude, can you think of anything else? Well,
the only thing I would say is just because I know the sport, like the sport better. The last down by 4 Super Bowl, 2 minutes, those kind of situations, playoffs. I would say I put that slightly above, and it's really just because I'm more of a fan of football than I am.
We did talk about that. Remember the Georgia Tech game, the high school, or not high school, sorry. College overtime. College football overtime is pretty good too.
I like it too. There's a lot of people that are not fans of it.
Really?
Yeah, that are not fans of the style. It's not,
I'm a fan. We enjoyed that one. I enjoyed that one. So, so congratulations to our hometown Carolina Hurricanes. We'll look forward to watching them play the Alex Ovechkin and the Caps.
That's what I was getting ready to say. That's going to be a tough one, man. That's going to be. There was a few years back. Now there was a handful of years where we struggled with some other teams, but I can remember a stretch where we really struggled with the Capitals in the second round.
Yeah. So we'll and they're the 1 seed, best record in I want to say the NHL, definitely the East, but maybe the NHL. So it'll be a tough series. But hockey is kind of that sport where once you get into the playoff, seeding really kind of goes away, right?
You took the words out of my mouth. It's one of the few sports, baseball to an extent, not quite as much.
Yeah.
But hockey, 100%, man. A lot of times, those 1 seeds don't win it. I'd be curious what the actual true numbers are, but there's been so many years. For the last handful of years, the Hurricanes have been right there and right on the edge and of being the 1 seed and just figured out, home ice makes such a huge difference for some reason. My understanding is has something to do with the changes, has something to do with being able to control that. But there appears to be such a home advantage, and if you can break that home advantage, that home ice, and still one on the road, you're in control.
Yeah, absolutely. So, man, good stuff. Well, hey, thank you all for listening today. We appreciate that. Go out, make it a great Friday's Eve.
I like it. Go Tigers. You stole my words. I like it.